It's mock draft week. It's a mock draft Monday. But what better way to do it than my final mock draft of the 2025 NFL draft? Before we get started, we do have some news. Earlier today, a sadness news happened in Rome, Italy. Pope Francis has died at the age of 88. Now, Pope Francis did showed up in Easter Sunday as a bit of a surprise to the Romanians who are celebrating Easter, as of course that happened yesterday, and died on Easter Monday. This morning, it was confirmed after he's dealing with a heart illness, of course. Um, Shout out to Rome, Italy, of course, to those Romanians. I'll try to do my best to Spanish, you guys. Um, Lo lamento por su perdedor. Él es un buen pastor allá en Roma. Y un momento de silencio por Papa Francisco. With that out of the way, let's get started with the mock draft. So, with the first pick, the Tennessee Titans are going to select Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami. This is locked in. Number 2, the Cleveland Browns select Travis Hunter, defensive back and wide receiver out of Colorado. There's been a lot of talk about will he play corner and wide receiver. Both New York and Cleveland's GMs agree that they will probably let him play at both corner and wide receiver. And I think Cleveland makes a lot of sense to be in this. So Travis Hunter going to Cleveland. With the third pick, the New York Giants select Abdul Carter, defensive end out of Penn State. This could be a great move for the Giants because you do have Kayvon Thibodeaux, who is in the trade market, of course. So get Abdul Carter in the mix with Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence in the middle. You got the big three in that defense. With the fourth pick, the New England Patriots select Will Campbell, offensive tackle out of LSU. They brought Morgan Moses to play right tackle and expect Will Campbell to play left tackle. With the fifth pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. This is going to be a no surprise brainer. Of course, they need to fix that interior defensive line. Mason Graham makes sense to go to Duval County. With the sixth pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select Ashton Jeanty, running back out of Boise. This is not a surprise here for most of these mock drafts, of course, as Jeanty goes to Las Vegas. With the seventh pick, the New York Jets select Armin Membu, offensive tackle out of Missouri. There's been a lot of conversations. This is a tough one because first, you have Tyler Warren, who makes a lot of sense. Plus, they still have to fix that O-line. Olu Fashion is going to play left tackle. And if you plug in Armin Membu right tackle, you're going to have the best young offensive line in the league. Look at it. And I think if you go to the second round, they could go after a tight end weapon guy. Like, for example, Elijah Aragbo from Miami or Jalen Higgins, wide receiver from Iowa State. They're going to have to go offensive line, Armin Membu, to the Jets. With the eighth pick, the Carolina Panthers select Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. This is not a surprise also because he's been everywhere with the Panthers, and it sounds like, I know we're hearing that they could trade back, but I think they're going to stick with it, and they're going to go with Jalen Walker. With the ninth pick, the New Orleans Saints select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado, with the injury of Derek Carr, potentially be missing the rest of this 2025 season. Here comes Shedeur Sanders as your new starter for the New Orleans Saints. With the 10th pick, the Chicago Bears select Calvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle out of Texas. Here's the reason. I don't want the Bears to draft Ashton Jeanty because they got DeAndre Swift. I don't want them to draft Tyler Warren because they got Cole Kmet. I need them to draft an offensive tackle because they still need to fix that O-line. Calvin Banks Jr. is that guy. He could play at left tackle, of course. He makes a lot of sense. He could be a run physical, run blocking tackle to give Swift some good run lanes. So I think the Bears do make the biggest move and select Calvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. With the 11th pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Jahan Barron, defensive back out of Texas. This is going to be a solid move for the 49ers. He's going to be a healthy corner when Robert Saleh has him on the starting lineup, starting lineup for the defensive backs. This guy is going to be a ball hawk for the 49ers defense. With the 12th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Teronio McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. They need another wide receiver for CeeDee Lamb. Of course, you lose Brandon Cooks and replace him with McMillan, the 6'2 wide receiver out of Arizona. With the 13th pick, the Miami Dolphins select Will Johnson, defensive back out of Michigan. Of course, Jalen Ramsey and the Dolphins parted ways. So why not replace him with a real talent corner in Will Johnson from Michigan? With the 14th pick, the Indianapolis Colts select Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. This is a big brainer for the Colts fans. I do see them try to trade up to get him, but I think if Warren is still there, this is the guy that they're going to be drafting. He's going to be a great weapon for either Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson. With the 15th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Mike Green, defensive end out of Marshall, a solid young defensive end who's going to learn from Leonard Floyd, and he makes sense to this Jeff Ulbrich defense. They're going to want someone like a Mike Green guy who's going to come in and be that physical pass rusher in Atlanta. With the 16th pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Shemar Stewart, defensive end out of Texas A&M. You got Josh Sweat, of course. I think bringing in Shemar Stewart and learns from Josh Sweat, it's going to make this duo very interesting for Jonathan Gannon's defense. With the 17th pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select Malachi Williams, defensive end out of Georgia. I know Trey Hendrickson trade could still be a possibility, but Malachi Williams is going to be that, I'm your Robin, you're my Batman kind of guy. And I think Malachi Williams makes sense in Cincinnati. With the 18th pick, the Seattle Seahawks select Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama. He's going to plug in that guard position to protect Sam Darnold. With the 19th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Jahad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. He is going to be this blitz kind of package guy, so keep an eye on him. He does remind me a bit of Fred Warner when he came out of college. So you see that comparison I mentioned? Jahad Campbell, Fred Warner, and you put Campbell with Todd Bowles' defense, he's going to blitz no matter what happens. With the 18th pick, the Denver Broncos select Omar Hampton, running back out of UNC. Here's why. Yes, with that 20th pick, the Denver Broncos select Omar Hampton, running back out of UNC. They lose Javon Williams to Dallas, and they don't have a star running back in their team. So I think Hampton is going to make it to the first round. But here's the twist. The rumor right now is Denver is looking to trade up to get Ashton Jeanty. Now, That is not going to happen. It's not. They can stay there and get Hampton this or Travion Hendrickson, running back from Ohio State, who's been on the top of these projected second, first round guy. That's someone you can look at. But I think Omar Hampton makes sense in Denver. With the 21st pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss. This sounds like Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. Maybe. This is just on me. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to retire or not. But Jackson Dart makes sense in Pittsburgh. I think he's going to fit in this Steelers offense. With the 22nd pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. They need to give Justin Herbert more weapons. I think with Colston Loveland and his reunion with Jim Harbaugh, it's going to give this Chargers team from wild card weekend playoffs to maybe get to that potential divisional round advantages. With the 23rd pick, the host of the 2025 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Josh Simpson, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Now, I think this makes too much sense because they are going to look for a left tackle. Josh Simpson could play left tackle. Now, are the Packers fans going to want a wide receiver? Yes, but they got to address the offensive line if they're going to protect Jordan Love. And Simpson makes sense because if you go back to that Super Wild Card weekend game against the Eagles, they were banged up on offensive line injuries, and it's not been the protection that Jordan Love will want. So if you're Matt LaFleur and the Packers, I do think they go after Josh Simpson, offensive tackle from Ohio State. With the 24th pick, the Minnesota Vikings select Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia. That's going to be a great duo. Harrison Smith with Malachi Starks. And this defense is going to be very good with Brian Flores calling the defense. With the 25th pick, the Houston Texans select Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Yes, Houston, you get your wide receiver. Here's why. You put him with CJ Stroud, that connection is going to make this Texas team bounce back. But again, they have a new offensive coordinator in Nick Kelly, and they're going to look for pass catchers to replace Stephon Diggs. So bringing in Emeka Egbuka to this team, this makes a lot of sense. With the 26th pick, the Los Angeles Rams select Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. I would love to see this happen because you got Puka, you got Devontae Adams, you need a third receiver, and Matthew Golden is your third guy. He fits in that Sean McVay offense. You plug him in with maybe a bubble screen play. He's got that speed to get through the defenders and score touchdowns. With the 27th pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Greg Zelbo, guard out of North Dakota State. They need some help on the offensive line, of course. Greg Zelbo makes sense. He is going to probably plug in at the left guard, right guard position, I'm assuming. And it would make sense for the Baltimore Ravens to get Greg Zelbo. With the 28th pick, the Detroit Lions select Donovan Ekwonu, defensive end out of Boston College. A lot of teams are going to double team Aiden Hutchinson, so bring in another guy into the mix, and I think Donovan Ekwonu makes sense in this new Lions defense. With the 29th pick, the Washington Commanders select Nick Scorant, defensive end out of Texas A&M. They're looking to find the new Montez Sweat replacement. I think he fits in that defense. And they did lose Dante Fowler to Dallas, so he is going to come in to see if they can get this defense on turnaround. With the 30th pick, the Buffalo Bills select Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon. They need to have Ed Oliver some help. I think Derek Harmon makes sense in this Bills D line. With the 31st pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select Donovan Jackson, guard out of Ohio State. He is going to plug in at a left guard position and would bring in some great experience at that guard position. With the 32nd pick, the Philadelphia Eagles, your world champions, select James Pierce Jr., defensive end out of Tennessee. And how about that? You lose Josh Sweat. Hey, bring his replacement with James Pierce Jr. and your defense is back-to-back Super Bowl champs if he can stay healthy. That is my final mock draft of the 2025 NFL Draft. We're 3 days away. So folks, enjoy these next 3 days because when we hit to Thursday, the NFL Draft starts, and I cannot wait to watch it. If you have not seen my other videos, go check them out on my channel below on the top of the screen. Again, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell for more sports news. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.